because the screen is not perfect, if you want to see the slides live as I go through the presentation, you can go to this URL and view them on your cell phones or Macs, laptops, tablets, everything you have. This URL just goes to this presentation, and the slides will change the same way as I will change the slides on my computer. So bit.ly/umbracopl. This is basically the URL. Okay. So my name is Maciej Korsan, and I am PR Unicorn, head of ukulele section and front-end developer at SIG. I'm working with Marcin here, and basically I'm doing most of the time I'm doing the front-end development, but sometimes I find time to do other things. And lately I was pronounced as artistic director HD and at Programistok conference. Have you heard anything about Programistok? Did you see the video we made? Okay, so I'm the creator of this video. If you have any questions about it, how we created it, you can feel free to ask me about it. If you haven't seen it, you can go to Facebook and find Programistok, and then the video will appear, I think, at the top because it's been posted. Okay, so this is my second function now. I'm an artistic director of Programistok, and we are doing some crazy stuff this year. And one of this crazy stuff is the two songs that appear in the video. They were just released on Spotify, on Tidal, and Deezer. You can listen them through these streaming services. So this is, I think, this is crazy because we haven't thought that this will go so far with this video. Okay, but back to our main topic that I will talk about today is how to make your Umbraco website faster. And I've got one simple answer for this question: get WordPress. Thank you. Okay, just kidding. This is our brain. Our brain gets many inputs from our senses. We've got touch, we've got hearing, we've got smell, we've got taste, we've got sight. So if I will do this, my brain will first get the touch of both hands clapped, then it will get maybe the sight, and then it will get the sound of it. So the inputs have various time of response. But what's the funny fact is, our brain can select these inputs. So if you are now looking at me and listening to me, probably you are not bothering what happens behind the bar. You're not hearing the machines like that and so on, and you can focus on something. So this is how our brain works. And this complex thing is perception. So all these inputs goes for perception. And perception is the reality, the thing we get, the whole inputs we get is the reality, and perceptions kind of frames reality. So if we get the 1 second, if we now stop, we've got the view, the picture, the sound, the smell, and so on. So this is the moment when the perception frames reality. So all of our senses are pretty important, I think, and they are pretty fast. And now I've got one simple question for you. Who thinks that 300 milliseconds is a really long time? 300 milliseconds. Okay, some of you think that. I'm wondering if you can see it, but the square is blinking. The blink time is 300 milliseconds. It's pretty fast, I think. You think it's fast? I'm wondering if you've seen this video, Living with Lag. It's a commercial done for one of the internet companies. Basically, they choose a group of people and gave them Oculus Rift, the VR goggles with camera attached at the front, so they can see the reality. The reality will be cut with the eyes at the eyesight, but they gave them view from the camera, but it was lagged by 300 milliseconds. So the reaction time of their eyes was delayed by 300 milliseconds, and basically they couldn't do anything. They couldn't eat, they couldn't dance, they couldn't put some ketchup on their hot dog or play ping pong, because it was too hard. And it was only 300 milliseconds. If you want to see this really funny video, just go with living with lag. And that was the experiment done by some internet company for the commercial. So 300 milliseconds are pretty long, as you can see. For our eyes, it's eternity, because we couldn't live with this kind of lag. If our eyes get decide 300 milliseconds later, then everything comes to it, we will die in the first year of our lives, probably. But what about the web? Who thinks that 100 milliseconds is a really long time? Okay. Almost nobody thinks that 100 milliseconds is a really long time. But we've got these two big companies which have pretty big online stores, and they do some research. Basically, they want to have bigger revenue, so they they invest something into the research. So if the website time where the product is goes down by 100 milliseconds, the revenue raises by 1%. If you earn a lot of money, 1% is also a lot of money. So 100 milliseconds is pretty big, pretty long time in this case. But nobody sits with the stopwatch and look. This page loaded 100 milliseconds. I'm gonna buy this watch because it's great. It's loaded so fast. Nobody does that. But here, in this case, our senses take the work for this perception. So 100 milliseconds is pretty long. And there were also some research that 100 milliseconds feels instantaneous, so like this. And everything that lasts longer than 1 second, so 1,000 milliseconds, causes the user to lose their focus. So if the page loads too long, our user can just go to another page, switch to another tab, or close it, do anything else, but not the thing that we want the user to do. So we need to go faster. This is basically the most important thing. And the performance equals developers' responsibility. It's us who have to do everything to make things work faster. So it's our responsibility to make the web faster. And I didn't send this before, but I'm not an Umbraco developer. I haven't wrote a single line of C# code in my life, I think, or maybe 10 lines I wrote. But I'm not working on Umbraco sources or anything like that. I'm only a developer who prepares all these templates, HTML, CSS, JS stuff, and send it further to backend developers. And I can do magic. Basically, this is what front-end developers do. They do magic. So we need some tools, and I've divided the tools between analyze and work on the sources. So to analyze our site, we can use Google Page Speed Tools. This is basically, I think, the most popular tool to measure the quality of your site. You can check the mobile version, you can check the desktop version on it, and it works in seconds. So it's pretty popular and handy. We've got Chrome developer tools. So you know, everybody. I think is there anybody that haven't used the Chrome developer tools on this venue? Okay. And we have to use the 56K modem. because it's really a great thing to test things. So do you remember the sound that it made? It's beautiful. No, just kidding. No modem here. So we've got the Google PageFit tools, and as you can see, we've got here 2 tabs. We've got mobile, we've got desktop, we've got preview of the site that Google get, and we've got score. Here is 20 of 100s, and we've got everything we can fix on the site. It gives us some hints. Also, it rates the user experience. Here is 99 by 100s. We've got Chrome developer tools, and today we'll be using the network tab, because we've got here is the pretty nice film strip which shows how fast the page loads. You can see the progress of loading, so what page looks like after 1 second, after 2 seconds, and so on. And we've got also here the list of all responses. So every resource we've got, the page gets after it loads. Okay, we've got a tool, and we've got the toolkit for creation. So personally, I'm using a Gulp. Who is using Gulp here? Okay, that's pretty cool. Various plugins for Gulp, because Gulp has really nice plugins database, and I'm using a CSS for building the styles. So we've got the case study. Last month we were building this site for programming school that Marcin works in. It's Wall School. And it was a pretty crazy project because we had not much time as we wished to have for creating such a project, but I think we've made pretty good work here. So this is the home fragment of the homepage, and after I finished my first version of frontend without any optimization. It gets 20 on the mobile and 28 on desktop. So basically this page sucks because it's very slow and it has very many issues to fix. So what I've done, okay, so here are the numbers. The page waits, the home page waits 3.9 megabytes, and it loads about 2.01 seconds, and it loads that fast on fast internet connection, because if you use mobile, then it will load much longer, and user probably won't use it. Okay, so I started with image minification. Here are 2 tools. This is the Gulp plugin I'm using in the image min, and we've got this site, tiny PNG or tiny JPEG is the sister size. So they're pretty handy. For this presentation, I've used this tiny PNG just to show you how much we can save. It has some fancy graphics, so I thought it would be fun to show you. In this column, we've got the sizes of original graphics that are used in the project. This is all the graphics are in the project. Not only some of them are not loaded on the homepage, but this is how it looked like before and after. So after using this tool, when I've uploaded all these files to this tiny PNG thing and downloaded them back, I've saved about 70% of bandwidth just on images. So it's 4 megs. I think there is a little quality loss, but it won't be visible for a user. So after this minification, we've got 70 on desktop. That's pretty nice, and we've raised our score on mobile to 46. But it says that it still has some issues with images, and we've got an URL to specific image that could be reduced. And I look at the URL and thought, Okay, separator PNG. Congratulations, Maciek. You've saved your original photo from your DSLR to PNG and put it on your website. It weighs about 2 or 3 megabytes, so it's great work, Maciek. So I've compressed it, and scores goes up. We've got 71 on the mobile and 89 on desktop. That's pretty nice score for only image minification. This is the first step I've made, but it's the most visible step if it comes to the score. And the site now loads in 1 second. Okay, but now we are going to take some serious business. We've got something called connection timeline. This is the connection timeline that browser does every time it wants to download something. So we've got the DNS lookup, we've got TCP connection, SSL negotiation only if SSL of course occurs, and then it goes to the request. How long it takes? So in the best case, if you have a fast internet connection, in the best case it takes 400 milliseconds just to start the request. It's about half a second on a good connection. And what can we do as a front-end developers to make things faster? We've got something on W3C. This is the page where all the specification documentation of web has its place. And we've got something called resource hints. And there are some tools given by browser creators for us to handle this. So we've got DNS prefetch. What it does, it creates, it does the first phase of this connection, so the DNS lookup, before the resource is requested. So if you are using some Google fonts or you are using some CDN for getting our content, it will do this thing goes to the header, to the head section, and it does it instantly. So before we are getting our Google fonts, we are skipping this first phase with 100 milliseconds, because browser knows what the DNS for this particular domain fonts Google.com is saved. So it's very useful for external resources and, as I wrote here, so Google Fonts, analytics, and so on. We've got something called pre-connect. This is more crazy thing, but it's not supported. It opens a connection to external server before the resource is being downloaded. So it does the first 3 for us. And then browser goes for the request. If the resource with this domain comes up. Then we got more crazy thing is prefetch. If we know that we've got something on our page that will pop up later and we want it to be downloaded before it occurs, we can use prefetch, and this tag makes the resource to be downloaded and stored in browser cache. So it's already cached before it occurs. This is somehow crazy, but as I said before, these things are pretty experimental and not supported everywhere. And we've got the most crazy thing is the pre-render. If we know that our user go to another page from our page that we are currently on, so if it's shopping cart, for example, and we know that he will have to do some agreements with the regulations, so we can place the URL for our regulations, terms of services or something here. And then browser downloads it before the user clicks on it. So after the user clicks on it, it works like it's loaded, because everything was downloaded, but we can waste the bandwidth, of course, if a user doesn't click on this link. I saw a web page then where somebody placed this pre-render thing for every page. It was crazy, because basically when a user goes to the homepage, he downloads everything The whole website was in his browser cache. But it works like that. It's a heavy weapon. And as I said before, it loads and renders web page in the background. Okay, I haven't used this in this project. I'm talking about this feature because everything was served local from the local server, so we didn't have to use this DNS prefetch or something. Next thing is CSS minification. To do this, what I'm doing is I'm merging all CSS files. It doesn't matter if it is my styles or some plugin styles, because you got some many packages for assets and so on. So I got all these files connected for the one file, and they're being merged, they're being minified, and it's all done with Gulp. I'm wondering if you can see it. Probably not, but here's the Gulp task I'm using. I will post my Gulp file and package JSON for Node later on my GitHub, so we can view it later on. Use it, just use it for your projects. I'm using here is minify CSS, so basically it gets my main CSS. It does also some auto prefixer things and minify and live reload. And also I'm doing JavaScript minification. This goes the same as the CSS minification. I'm getting all the JavaScript files I've got, merge them into one file, and minify. Uglify, and this is the thing that minifies. So we've got one CSS file and one JavaScript file minified with everything we need to render our page. And I've got another question. Who is using Bootstrap for the projects? And do you use all of its features in every project? I think so, that you are not. So I made something like this. If you are using Node, NPM, and Gulp or any other automator, you can do some magic. And it looks like this, that you can choose from, you can download the Bootstrap SaaS package, which basically is Bootstrap divided into modules, and you can choose what modules you really need. So in this project, my graphic designer created a Bootstrap-based project. So I think, okay, I'll just take the grid because I don't need any link styling, tables, many other things that comes with Bootstrap. So I had to write this code. Just this is the minimum that you have to write to get only the grid from Bootstrap. But normally it would look like this. So I would just import the whole Bootstrap here, and this is just the grid. So the amount of code might be looking much more scary, or I don't know, a lot of lines, complicated. And this is the whole package. It's easy, but do we really need a complete Bootstrap package? This is the size of my minified main CSS, compiled from the CSS or the plugins and so on, with Bootstrap, with whole Bootstrap CSS package. It's 168 kilobytes. And this is with just the grid. It's almost 100 over 100 kilobytes lighter. So after removing the things that I'm not using, I've saved just 100 kilobytes of bandwidth. That's pretty much. Okay, so next thing is async and defer. This is the normal way of how the script tag works. So if our browser is downloading HTML and scans it, searching for the script tag, okay, this is the place where the script tag occurs. So it stopped the rendering, just download it, execute it. Okay, we're done. Here is the part the script is executed, and we can go on. And the HTML is parsed to the end. and it kind of blocks things up, as you can see, because HTML could be parsed in this hole, but no, it's not. When you use async, so the timeline goes, okay, script tag, I will download it. Once in download, it's executed, and then the HTML parsing goes on. So it saves us, as you can see. Here's the part that the HTML isn't rendered, and here it's still rendering. It only stops when the execution of the script occurs. And we got the deffer, which I used in this project. So HTML goes on. Here's the script tag. Okay, download it. HTML done. Let's execute the scripts. We are not blocking here. We are not doing blocking like this. So it's download simultaneously. Okay, it's hard word. What we can do more? We can unblock the CSS. So, as you can see here, this is the part the user gets at first. So we are going to our WoW School page, and we can see this is the header, the navigation, some copy, and so on. So this is the main part. Because I'm using BAM, I'm not sure if you heard about BAM methodology. It's a naming convention, kind of naming convention in CSS. I could take everything from my styles, and I've placed them, the styles related to this thing, I've placed them in line in the header. So browser goes, page loads, and we've got already styles for the header. We are not downloading the whole CSS file to process, but we are already have the styles just for the basic view. And then we can render the whole thing and download the rest of the CSS. So I've placed this header related things in line in the head section, and moved this CSS outside of HTML. This is crazy. Nobody does that, but I do. And Google says that it's proper way to do this thing. So after all of these things like minification of CSS and JS, unblocking the CSS and unblocking the scripts, we've got 85 on mobile and 95 on desktop. There are some things, of course, that could be fixed, but I had no time to do much more minification of things, and maybe doing some researches on what can be done better. Of course, when we upload this to Umbraco, these HTML files, we had to take care of minification of images that comes from the user. So we've got this image processor thing, and I think it can handle it pretty well. And that's it. So on fast internet connection, that was first iteration. And after all this minification, images, the CSS, JS, and so on, I've got this result here today. So from here, I went here, and the page loads completely, now in 500 milliseconds. When we were starting from 2 seconds, so I think it's pretty good. It works 4 times faster. Not 300%, but 400%. Okay. So why do we need to optimize our websites? We've got better user experience. User gets everything he wants faster. The page loads in a blink of an eye. We've got the happiest user. And we've got the money, because if we have happy user, we've got the money. Do you have any questions? Yeah. Because this site doesn't use any JavaScript to create visual effects. So I haven't noticed anything. There are some techniques you can use, like containers, for example. Facebook uses this. If you scroll the timeline pretty fast, you've got these gray boxes. So the user knows there will be content, but it's not loaded yet. It's a very good practice. So we can make some CSS and HTML dummy things that will tell user, okay, just wait, we are loading it for you. There will be content. This is the good technique. Any more questions? Yes. Vendor files. I'm doing this by in my Gulp file. Let me go back. I will show you. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, it's the old project, so it's not divided. But here, with the oh, you can see on your mobile phone. Yeah. When you got this Gulp source thing, you can specify directories where the files are placed. So if you place there the vendor files at first, then they will land first in this minified file. So there will be no problem with dependencies. If you specify here the order, they will be on the page. They will be saved as I say them in the Gulp. So that they will just flow without any problems. I have not any problems with this minification yet. Hopefully, I will not get any. So, any more questions? If not, I've got a question for you. Oh, sorry. Okay. Spoiler alert. Why do ghosts love elevators? Because they leave their spirits. Thank you. You can follow me on Twitter here.